In this video, I'm going to show you how to earn more as a web designer. So if you are already in the game and you want to increase your annual earnings, or you are just starting out in web design and you want to know how to best structure your business model, this is the video for you. So web design is often seen as a feast or famine sort of project-based side hustle, and in some ways, or for many people, it is. But if you implement these three tactics and tips, then you're going to be able to make your income a lot more stable and reliable, and something you can actually start to build on within a business. So the first thing you need to do in order to maximize your earnings as a web designer is to ditch the hourly payment model. And this can seem quite scary for some because it's an easy way to understand the worth of a task or of a deliverable. We can simply think, I'm worth £20 an hour. This will take me 3 hours. I will charge 60. And clients also can understand that. I mean, if I take my car to the garage, I know that the price that comes back will have something to do with how long the car is in the garage, and I trust obviously that they are working on it for that amount of time. But there are three main drawbacks to the hourly payment model in terms of you and your business, and let's quickly have a look into those. The first one is that the more times you do something and the better you get at it, the faster you're going to be able to do it. And so if something used to take me an hour and a half and it now takes me 20 minutes, does the client really need to pay less for that deliverable because I'm now more experienced, I'm more competent, and they are still getting the same product? Well, they shouldn't. If anything, I deserve more money for being able to up the speed at which they are able to take delivery. But that's a real problem when you're charging by the hour. So that's just one reason to ditch it. The second real drawback of the hourly payment model is simply that you are always going to round down. I know that when my car's in the garage and I want that car back, I need to pay whatever they ask for. But I don't know why it is exactly. Maybe it's because it's seen as a bit of a creative endeavor or something along those lines. But the web designer who is creating a professional asset for the, good of a business is seen as a bit, well, you can debate the price for them, you can haggle them down, you can go somewhere else. And unfortunately, you will always feel that pressure and you will likely round down on how long a task will take you. This is more likely when a task is unpredictably longer, or the client throws you a curveball and a task takes 3 hours instead of 2. You will probably just write it off and, be working towards getting that end of project payment. And so, if anything, you're going to end up rounding down. The third drawback to the hourly pricing model is simply that you only have so much time in the day. And so you have immediately introduced a ceiling to your earnings. You've capped your earnings before you even started, unless you start messing up with your work-life balance, which I really don't think you should do. And so that's a significant drawback of the hourly pricing model. I will say that more established businesses, they don't use that model. They pay workers by the hour, but they don't charge for their products or services by the hourly rate of their employees, obviously. And so we shouldn't do it differently. So let's get an actionable tip here. How should you actually price up your projects and the different tasks you will do for your clients? Well, we're going to jump over to a really snazzy Google document right now. And I'm just going to show you an example of how you might want to price up the different packages that you would offer your clients. And essentially what we're doing here is productizing your tasks. We're productizing your services. And this is something I would recommend for most service businesses, but certainly for something like web design. So let's take a look at this example of a package. And you can see we've got foundation, business, e-commerce basic, and then add-ons. And this is just a way that you can very simply work. If we've got the foundation startup, we've got £800 chargeable to the client. And this will consist of 5 content pages and legal pages, obviously, and then images from free sources. So that's a nice package for a beginner foundation website, and £800 is an absolute steal, to be honest. Now, I will say I follow a lot of web design people and podcasts and things, and A lot of them are talking about charging £3,000-4,000 for, a local business website. I don't care what they say. I've done a lot of work in the industry, and I also work at an agency, and these prices are not so easily thrown around. Whilst I'm not saying you should go as low as 800, I am saying that that's a reasonable one for a local business where the owners attempted to use Squarespace or Wix. So this is competitive and gives you a good, a good return on your time. So you might notice here that I do have time references. So is this actually payment by the hour? Kind of. If we look at this, I've got 5 content pages and 7 hours. Now that's an hour per page, which is a fair estimate to think of. However, I'm not rubbish with my maths. The first page, the home page, which is where you're making lots of your branding decisions and design decisions, that is charged at more, or thought of as taking longer than the original one. So it's not just an hour a page, it's 3. And so that's how you can kind of understand how long it might take you. But it's not so much pricing up by the hour, it's actually so that we can get an idea of calculating our hourly rate. Okay. Then we've got legal pages. Now, I don't just mean creating legal pages. The content is provided by the client, but this, in my terms, would also be installing a Google Consent Mode version 2 cookie banner and getting all of that account all sorted up and installed on the site. So that's more about 3 hours that I would consider that. Truthfully, that can take me an hour in a good run, but I've allocated 3 quite fairly. And then images from free sources, you specify that, and then you've got, I've allocated 3 hours for all of that for the entire site. So when we take this entire project and we've thought, okay, it's going to take me roughly around 13 hours. I can then take 800, divide that by 13, and we've got 61.54. Now that's a nice hourly rate. I'm never going to quibble at that. But obviously, if some of this takes less time, then I'm quids in, and my hourly rate has just increased. And so let's have a look at that. Let's say I've made it. I was just about to do divided by 10. But there we go. So obviously, if I get it all done in 10 hours, then I could have done that on my own. Then that's £80 an hour. That's not bad at all. Now, of course, this doesn't include client time and correspondence. But once we have this productized, £800 is very agreeable price for most small business clients that are local to you, and you're able to say what they're getting. The only thing that's going to happen here on most projects is that you will get faster and your hourly rate will go up. Okay, so package out a bit like this. This is a really good thing to do. And then you might have stuff like add-ons where if they want an additional page and a page additional to the 5 content pages, well, then you've got that covered for £60. If they are actually looking for Google Analytics to be installed, and they are providing you with the actual code or tag manager code, then that's a fixed price of 30. And what we're doing there is not saying, oh, do you know what? Yep, sure. That'll only take me 10 minutes. Yeah, send me your code. I'll whack it in before we go live. Oh, you'd like an SEO plugin? All right, well, I won't do the content for you or set it up, but I'll tell you what, I can install it. So which one do you want? That'll only take me 10, 20 minutes. And that is the temptation that you get as a freelancer, especially working by the hour. And so it's better just to say, yep, cool, check on my website. You can buy it on there actually. Just it's £80. I'll look for the order and add it to your project. So that's how simple that can be. And clients like it as well. They feel informed, and there's no cognitive load for you to figure out how much to charge a client. So I hope you found that useful. If you would like this full sheet, you can download it from the link in the description below. Perhaps that would serve as the basis of your new pricing structure. And of course, you can have this on your site linked up to WooCommerce, as I do, and the clients can just go and purchase services without even having a quote and scope meeting. So if you think of using a foundation, business, e-commerce basic, e-commerce advanced, and then the add-ons, then that'll be a really good foundation for your pricing structure. I will just say, my e-commerce advanced example here, £2,000. Clients are going to go, ooh, at that, but the hourly rate has dropped there. So, you might want to think about raising that up. So 40 hourly rate would be 2,920. And of course, that's a good way to look at scoping a project, and it's not by the hour. The second way to maximize your earnings as a web designer is to make your processes a little bit more efficient, or a lot more efficient. You need to optimize. And the essential part of optimization is making the repeated parts of every project as automated as possible. Now, obviously, web design is a creative endeavor. It is. So you can't really automate the process of applying branding elements to a new logo design, or indeed to a website page, and thinking, should I use a shadow on this box to bring it from the background, and what images will I use? Those are things that you do need to wrestle with whilst you're in front of the screen. But there are parts of creating an initial website that you really can fast forward with optimized processes. And this is generally about using templates for the structure of the website, for the framework. And I'll show you what I mean on here also. If we take a look at a Breakdance design library, I do not mean pulling in the templates for an entire site like you can do here. So you can preview an entire site, and then you can import it, and it would actually bring in the pages and all of these images, and you can essentially just sort of use this site. I don't think that's the good way to use templates personally. But I do think it's best to use templates to create all of those conventional design elements. So for example, in local business design, a header should have a pretty standard, there we go. A header should have a pretty standard design to it in terms of its functionality. What I mean by that is logo on the top left, maybe in the middle, but usually logo in the top left, menu in the middle, and probably a call to action button on the top right. Now, we can build this out in Breakdance very quickly, but we could also actually pop along and look for headers and tour one of these and just use this as a good framework. This is perfect for what I've got in mind. I add that to the page. It's already pulled in my global colors and typography that I've put into global settings, and I just need to swap out the image, and I've got a good visual to take back to the client for that initial design. So that's the header taken care of. Now let's quickly sort out the home page. So I'm just going to pop there. And again, we want to be as conventional as we can be with business design, and time is money. So let's use a framework that we can then build on. So again, I'm just going to pop to the design library, and I'm going to type in hero section. That's what we should have. And it's not to say I'm going to have this black hero section and the blue there and the white there. If we look at this as just components and think, okay, I would like a hero section with an image here, a main heading and text and a label heading there, then this is a perfect framework to use. As it happens, I can scroll down here and look for one that suits. I'm going to go with, I would like some buttons, so I'm going to go with this one. And again, just treating it as a framework, let's get some incentives. I think that'll be the next best thing to look for. Something like this. Actually, I like that one. Oop. Add that into the page. And again, I've put in my global settings. So I've got my color palette from my design and branding brief and my typography. And it's all being brought in automatically. Though there are some things for me to change, I'm very quickly getting a nice framework for the homepage together. So maybe this will be the next one. Yeah, cool. Just add it to the page. No, I don't like that. It's too repeaty. Repeaty, that's a technical term. Bin it. Oop. There we go. I think that's a bit better. Yep, I like that. And then perhaps a review section. Fancy and review. Nope, that's not where I was meaning to go. Element demos. Simple testimonial. I like that one. And I've got that coming together well. So obviously not a finished web page, but I've got the framework together already. And now I can actually start doing that unique part of the project and designing, finding the images for the background, the headings, and the copy, and starting to stitch all of this together. So I'm not saying use templates and design libraries to bring in entire websites. I think you need to maintain your creativity, but this is a part of optimizing your process and speeding up the repetitive elements of a project. And as we covered it in the first point, if you are setting prices for a task and it's taking you a lot less time, then you are upping that hourly rate. And that is actually what it's all about. Okay, so the third way that you can maximize earnings as a web designer is not to be project by project and feast and famine, but actually to start developing your recurring income. Now, there are two immediate ways that you can do this. And again, we're going to visit a Google document just to show you how powerful this is for your annual earnings. Now, let's say that you have 10 clients within a year and you do your best to convert all of them to a hosting package. And basically all that means is that you have a hosting package, for example, with Siteground. And if you want to join up with Siteground, please see my link in the description. And you are going to host their site on your Siteground account. Now, this can feel risky, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of this in another video. But should you plan to take this, it means that you need to charge them a monthly income for the convenience of you hosting. So let's have a look at the actual numbers for this. If you have a recurring income and you're looking for hosting clients, then let's say you do 10 projects in the year and you talk all of them into hosting with you. So how does that work? Well, first of all, we do have to calculate the outgoings, and let's assume you're using Siteground Grow Big plan. Now, if we take a look at that plan, it's $3.99 per month for the initial investment, but of course on the second year and moving forwards is going to be $23.99 per month plus the VAT. Okay, that's cool. We need to use those numbers in our calculations. Obviously the first year would be a bonus. So if we look back at that, $23.99 plus the VAT and times that by 12, we're going to make an annual investment of £345. Okay, so let's say that we talk 10 clients into hosting their site with us for only £20 per month, which is not difficult to do. You are going to earn from those 10 clients £2,400 throughout that year. So obviously you're making at least £2,000 there, but that's a really good top up to your annual income. Obviously, people would struggle to get a pay rise for that out of their employers. And of course, if you talk 20 in, then you've got £4,800 coming in a year just from hosting. Oh, now the reason why I use 10 here is because on the Grow Big plan with the limitations, you are going to get about 10 sites on there. And so you do need to consider how much you can fit onto that. But of course, you can always upscale to the Go Geek and fit more clients on there. So you can always upgrade. But if you do it in chunks of 10, then you can judge what you're paying out and what you would earn. Okay, now let's look at maintenance as well, because if you have clients on a hosting plan, that's great, but you can also offer to keep their site maintained, and there are different ways that you can, different sort of maintenance plans that you can offer. Let's say that you offer a basic updating WordPress and all of the plugins once a month and keeping a good backup. Let's say you charge your clients $24.99 per month for that. Well, obviously, if you get those 10 clients on board, then you're going to be earning £2,998 for maintaining client sites. Now, that can take about 10 minutes per month per client, and there's no actual outlay on that. It's just your time that you're charging for. If we now add up these two figures, just from hosting and maintenance for recurring clients, then we come up with a whopping pay rise per year of 5,398. Now, obviously, if you scale that up, the more clients you get onto your plans, the higher this figure goes. So 20 clients who are on maintenance and hosting, you're looking at a 10 grand pay rise for yourself next year. So I would advise, get on that. So those are the 3 tips I would have for you in increasing your earnings as a web designer. Obviously, all of these are really simple to implement straight away, and it just depends on how you want to start structuring your business. But again, I would say that, all of these successful businesses that are trying to maximize profits are not charging by the hour. They're definitely trying to optimize their processes. And if they can ever manage to get recurring income out of their clients and customers, well, they certainly do focus on doing that. So it makes a lot of sense for you to apply that to your web design business. Now, again, I've learned all of this after years working as a freelancer, and really I've learned a lot of it since being more involved with agencies in the past few years. So these are really actionable steps for you to take, and I know that they're going to increase your earnings. If you found this helpful, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any further questions, please throw them in the comments. They will guide the further videos on this channel. Again, if you would like any resources, please check the description below for the links, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks.